I sold, bro. I sold, I did fraud. I stole cars, bro. And I would really like to not have to have that define me for the rest of my existence.
You
I
make
think
such
that
a
the
good point.
definitive difference is that I wasn't ever videotaping any of my crimes. You know, I do have like there are
Right.
definitely news reports out there that are never going to go away. My Secret Service bust is definitely never going to go away.
That's still crazy to me. That's wild.
It was pretty wild to me when they jumped out the bushes on me, homie. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's go to jail. We're going to jail today, guys. So I have a plethora of reasons why I do not trust the current market or the stability of the US dollar. Inflation, it's a fact. The cost of living is through the roof. Food, electricity, insurance, medicine, gas, everything is expensive. Do you really think that prices are going to go backwards? Spoiler alert! That is not how it works, and it has never happened in recorded history. If our grid goes down nationwide, all of our money in the banks will be completely inaccessible. US currency, it'll be just paper. And that is why I've partnered with Lear Capital, today's video sponsor. Because when economic and political times are volatile like they are right now, having precious metals can be the difference between losing everything that you've worked for and protecting it. Now is the time to take action and get educated on alternative investments like gold and silver. Call Lear Capital today at 855-271-1871 or go to trylear.com/JDDelay. Get your free gold and silver wealth protection kit. There's no obligation, just free information on protecting your hard-earned dollars with gold and silver. You have the choice to take possession of your metals or to store it, or you can roll over an existing IRA or 401k into gold IRA and get some tax advantages. And as a special offer, if you open a qualified account, Lear Capital will give you $15,000 in bonus coins. Call Lear Capital today at 885-271-1871. That's 885-271-1871. Roma, I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me and my community. It's an honor. I've actually been watching you for quite some time, like long before I was making content of my own. You would pop up on my screen and I was like, holy crap, somebody cares about men? That's crazy. So welcome. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you. I'm so surprised that you didn't take one look at me and be like, wow, that chick looks like she does meth and she yells too much. So it's an honor that you like me. I'm a fan of yours as well. I was a fan of yours before I didn't even know that you liked me or knew who I was. I just thought the first thing I thought was, wow, this guy could be like my brother in another life because he yells a lot, just like me. So but I get it. You're passionate. And I'm sure people are constantly asking you oh, why are you yelling? Why are you so, but it's doesn't this shit make you angry? You're predominantly calling out people who are diddling children. That doesn't make you want to yell. That's not, oh, my bad.
If you're not mad, we're built different with the stuff that I talk about the majority of the time. And yes,
Literally.
I'm a boisterous person. I get a lot of the, why are you yelling? You remind me of somebody from the WWF and stuff like that. But it doesn't bother me. I've always been kind of an abrasive person. I don't expect to be everybody's cup of tea. I don't even like tea personally. I like energy drinks. So I'm kind of a full throttle person and you are too. And I would love to be your big brother. So just so you know, down here in the States, you've got a big brother who would ride out for you. So
Aw, man, I appreciate that so much. That means a lot to me. Yeah, I'm a pretty big tea drinker myself personally, but I
no
just prefer
shade.
water.
So I wanted to ask you this because it seems crazy to me that you are such a controversial figure on the internet. You can advocate for women, you can advocate for people of different color, you can advocate for people that are neurodivergent. You choose to advocate for men because you saw a gap there and it seemed important to you and you were passionate about that. And yet people come for you constantly for that. Why do you think that is? Why are you controversial when you're just advocating for dudes' mental health and dudes' well-being?
You know what? It's because it goes against a main narrative, and the thing I like to compare it to is hitting your children. So there was a time where that was like completely normal. And now people are like, hey, shouldn't really be like hitting your children. Like if they don't understand your words, maybe they don't understand why you're like beating the shit out of them. I'm not talking about like discipline, a little smack. I'm talking about straight up like walloping your kid, right? Those people who try to talk about it, they're looked at as like idiots, woke, liberals, because they're like, this is the norm. So for the last how many years, like hundreds of years, probably 100 years by now, you've heard about, there's been a lot of like feminist centered conversations happening in society. And it was so important. Like, look, like there was a time women, like we've always worked, but we couldn't keep our money. We couldn't wear pants. Our husbands could like legally beat us because we were like property. There was a time where men could take away the children out of the home, just send them to orphanages, and the mother had no say. Like feminism is very important, so don't get it misconstrued. Like I'm not anti-feminist. However, we've come so far as women. I understand that I'm like appreciated and accepted whether I want to work, stay at home, be a trad wife, doesn't matter. But men are still in the same gender box that they've been in for like 100 years. That's just never switched up. So I think because I talk about men, when we're so used to demonizing men as a way to lift women up, people just automatically are like, wow, this girl does bath salts. Like she must have been to prison. She must have done like something happened to her in there that caused her to just come out as the dent in my forehead. That's the trauma right there. That's what caused me to go crazy and advocate for men. No, just kidding. I don't know. People just really hate it. And I find it hilarious. I live for it.
So, I think it's a cool contrast because I'm known for advocating for, children's safety, women's safety, the elderly, the disabled. It's not a popular thing to advocate for men, but men make up the majority of suicides. Men make up the majority of people who have mental illness that's significant enough that it lands us in terrible places like prisons. Mm-hmm. There's so many issues that stem from men's mental health and men being conditioned not to be able to speak about things like our traumas and our feelings. And you just don't see very many women who advocate for men publicly, especially ones that do it authentically. There's ones, and I'm not going to bash anybody, but there's ones that I feel like are doing it for attention, and they have that pick me energy, and that's never been you to me. Like you are the opposite
Appreciate
of that. You are just, and I know that you get those comments clearly from people sometimes, but like I've never picked that up from you at all.
I appreciate that. I'm really passionate about my work. And I think the thing is like, I got asked in an interview one time, they said to me, they were like, you're the first woman on social media to speak about men's issues the way you do. They're like, you helped start this trend that you see now where a lot of girls will advocate for men and then you go to the links in their bios and it's just OnlyFans. Or like, they've turned it into like a money concept. Kind of like Pearl Davis. Oops, my bad. Shots fired. But anyways, so they asked me, they were like, do you feel a little bit responsible for that? And I was like, excuse me? But I guess what they were trying to say is that like, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm not sitting here like, I'm so great and I started this and that. I'm very humble. But the truth of the matter is that I was the first woman on social media to do it, the first person to be on social media doing it the way that I was doing it. And like with that comes people that will look at that and say, okay, Roma makes great money, which I'm fucking blessed to do, but I don't do it like for that. I'm just lucky enough to be able to do what I love for a living and make a living off of it. So I don't really feel like responsible for them personally. I'm just like, I'm responsible for myself, which means calling their grifting chameleon asses the fuck out. So that's my responsibility.
So you brought OnlyFans up, so we are going to ask you about that and let you clear the air.
Ask away.
How many OnlyFans accounts have you owned in your life?
Well, there's one where I was playing hide the household vegetables on my cooter for, I'm just joking, 0. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on your channel or not.
Yeah.
0. I've literally never made one. This is like verified. People have like put it in articles that they've written about me. Some girl who had an OnlyFans based out of Texas. I'm in Calgary, Alberta. I don't even have a passport. I can go to Texas. Her name's Chelsea Baby, and she has an OnlyFans, and she changed her profile picture, and I think like the main name on like the cover photo as me. So people just think that it's me. And you know, like when I was younger, I had a boyfriend that I was with for like a long time, and him and I like, you know, we filmed stuff together because we were two consenting adults, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But he took that and he leaked it on the internet. So for people that have known me for a very long time, this was a big drama on TikTok in 2020. Like this is verified. He's like, may God rest his soul, but he's passed away now. I didn't do it. Let me just clarify. It was his own circumstances in his life. Like I didn't do it.
Oh,
Um,
you're not saying you didn't leak it. You're saying you didn't murder him.
I didn't murder him. I also
Okay,
didn't
cool.
leak it. He leaked it. And this was a big controversy in 2020. And like, you know, he blew up from it. And it was, you know, so there are some things on the internet. You know, I don't think it's a big secret. I don't need to, I'm not going to like feel ashamed about it anymore. But there are some things. And that's revenge porn. So
Yes.
it's not it's kind of just two different like ballparks here. So people will sometimes be like, oh well, there's things of you on the internet, and people say you have OnlyFans, you must have had OnlyFans. I didn't. These are like two very different situations. I'm actually exploring possibly suing OnlyFans because Lord knows they have enough money. So if they're hosting somebody that is scamming people and making money off of like my name, then I think I'm entitled to that and maybe some damages. And like, yeah, I'm gonna pull an American and I'm just gonna sue.
Okay, so let me ask you this. In Canada, is
Mhm.
revenge porn a crime the way that it is here in the States? Because not only is it federally a crime, but it is state by state in almost every state a crime to post illicit images of somebody without their consent like that.
It's a big deal. And we were in the process. Part of why a lot of people like accused me of lying and said that I leaked it consensually, which I didn't. Like we were already broken up. And a part of the reason why people thought I was lying so much is because there was a point where I stopped talking about it. But that's because I moved forward with a lawsuit. And, you know, these are like extremely long processes. You have to get approvals, you have to go through computers and devices. And like, you know, I gave my iPhone in, I got a new phone, and I did my part. But this process is so long, and as fucked up as it sounds, like he died before we got to a courtroom. So what that means is that you have to start the process all over again, but you have to do it with his estate. So at the end of the day, his estate, who's responsible for him, is his big sister, who didn't have like a goddamn thing to do with this. And, you know, he didn't have, I wasn't looking for like financial damages. I just needed, like, you have to move forward in a certain way in order for it to be like, you know, like the police will come in and like actively help you remove that shit and like whatnot. There's a process to this.
Yeah.
So, in order to go through with that, like I would have had to have moved forward with his estate. And just with the fact that like they lost a brother, there was two brothers in the family, and he was the second one to pass away. They both died. And so I just felt like, you know what, like the damage has been done. I didn't want to ring his sister through the ringer and like bring her to trial. And so I just dropped it, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, like I made the choice to film that. Had I known better, I wouldn't have. But it is what it is, and I'm just gonna live and learn, and it's just out there forever. So use me as an example. Don't film shit with your partners when you're not serious. Like be engaged, be married, whatever, but like just don't do it. Guy or girl, don't do it because like that shit will end up on the internet.
Yeah. So I have two things to say. First off, just I'll talk to you more about this after we're done. But I do work with federal agencies that work to take that type of thing down off of the internet. And I might be able to connect you with somebody who can have that scrubbed from the internet entirely. And
I
if
would
it's
love
put back
that.
up, you can get an alert. They'll actually assign it a specific number. And it'll be they'll have algorithms looking for it, and it can be scrubbed as soon as it gets back up. So we will try to get you in connection with something so
I
that you
so
can get that
appreciate
taken
that.
down off the internet forever. You know,
Because
it
I have
might.
a file number and everything, so like they will be able to like they can see all the information that's been gathered already. Like I didn't post it; it's already been verified. It was not posted from my IP address, any device that I owned. So
So
I'm
I
exonerated.
I work with some people that are associated with federal agencies that do child trafficking stings and get those types of images off. And I'm sure that we can probably get that stuff off the internet for you. The other thing I want to say is
My savior.
people who have OnlyFans, if you don't like it, don't fucking pay to see it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to judge people who have an OnlyFans, you better make sure you've never looked at porn in your life. And if you have, and you're judging people who that's how they make their living, you're a hypocrite. You're probably a piece of shit somewhere inside. You know what I'm saying? I know that I have looked at porn. I don't anymore. I'm married and that's just not something that I fuck with. But I think everybody at some point in their life has looked at those types of videos or those types of images. Don't judge other people for what they do. You know what I'm saying? There's probably a skeevy way to go about advertising your OnlyFans, and I understand that, but I don't judge sex workers personally, you know what I'm saying? And I don't judge what people do, like as far as filming with a boyfriend. It's really none of anybody else's fucking business. And people should focus on who we are today, what we're doing today. Our past shouldn't define us, nor should we be chained to it for fucking ever. And I think that we can probably all agree on that. And the work that you do is fucking incredible. And I see a lot of comments from people like, oh, she has an OnlyFans, or oh this, and it's like, bro, come on.
You know what? I needed to hear that because, to be 100% honest with you, I am one of those people that hates on OnlyFans models. And here's the thing. I never had an OnlyFans. I have a Patreon. I used to do like not safe for work content on it. So not porn, very different, more like boudoir. And I think I've only had one or two like pictures from that ever leaked. So nothing on the internet is like ever from that. It's been fine. Now I don't do that anymore. Same realm. It's like pretty much sex work. I'm just not like, you know, hiding household products up my cooter or having sex with people and selling it. However, okay, I stopped doing it because it was a slow process for me. Like, it was just all of a sudden, like, I didn't want to film. I didn't want to take pictures. I just like didn't want to do it. I was putting it off. And it wasn't until I really kind of had a conversation with myself where I was like, you know, this doesn't make me comfortable anymore. Like, I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. I have younger siblings. Like, I have a little brother. Like, is he going to have to answer about this like someday? I have two kids. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, my frontal lobe developed and I was like, this isn't for me. So for me, you know, I see me on the internet sometimes, like, and I come across as like, you know, angry or like shit talking OnlyFans models. And I need to work on that because you don't know everybody's story. You don't know why they started it. And I need to like keep my opinion with my main issue. My main issue isn't sex workers. It's the sex workers that go on the internet and glorify it in such a way that they are like, encouraging what I would call grooming young girls to get into this industry by saying like, hey, you can make a lot of money, and not talking about all the negative things that come with it, that you'll socially, be hurt. You'll, like psychologically, it'll affect your mental. There's a lot of body image issues. You're subjected to people who don't respect you, who think that because they've seen you naked, that they have some sort of entitlement over you. There is so many negative impacts to this. And so like that's my issue, because we shouldn't be walking around encouraging young girls. And OnlyFans gives cash bonuses to OnlyFans models who get girls who just turned 18, like brand new girls, to sign up to the website. You can look this up. They give out cash bonuses. And to me, that's a little grooming, because like I come from the streets, and if I was saying to a little girl, hey, you should be escorting, I can hype it up as much as I want, but it's kind of grooming. That's my issue.
So, and I've never seen you come at it from an angle of just judging people who are creators. From what I've seen you, you know, talk about people who try to use, you know, fake authenticity to get men to go to their OnlyFans and stuff like that. And also talk about the predatory nature of some of this. Mm-hmm. So please don't feel like I was attacking you if you've made those comments about OnlyFans models in a way. Every time I've seen it, it's come off as, you know, you actually having a valid points and everything.
I appreciate that.
But so I just think that like it's such a touchy thing with so many people, and I see so many people making judgmental comments in all types of different people's. Like I sold meth, bro. I sold meth. I did fraud. I stole fucking cars, bro. And I would really like to have that define me for the rest of my existence.
You
I
make
think
such
that
a
the
good point.
definitive difference is that, A, OnlyFans is legal. Doing porn, as long as you're doing it with consensual adults, is
Yeah.
legal. The downside to it is that it's for fucking ever, bro. People are going to be able to see that shit forever.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ever videotaping any of my crimes. I do have, like, there are
Right.
definitely news reports out there that are never going to go away. My Secret Service bust is definitely never going to go away. They
That's still crazy to me. That's wild.
it was pretty wild to me when they jumped out the bushes on me, homie. I was like, oh shit, okay, well, let's go to jail. We're going to jail today, guys.
That's
Don't shoot my
insane.
dog.
Just don't
So,
kill my dog. We're good. I don't want to have to pull the John Wick out on you.
yeah. So I've just talked a whole lot about my past and how I used to be an absolute mess. And I don't want to be defined by that forever, because today I do work to help people that are still struggling in addiction. I do work to help people that are re-entering from incarceration. I go back into prisons and jails. I go into treatment centers. I even got to go into a kids' cancer ward with Jelly Roll and, show those kids love and give them a little hope. And
That's
I would
awesome.
hope that I'm remembered more for the work that I do in my community that's positive than the damage that I cause my community, because as much as I'm not going to sit in shame forever, because that holds me in a negative place, I do believe people should be able to progress forward. But I know that
It's
you
true.
kind of have a story that you've never really gotten into, and you had mentioned that you wouldn't mind talking about it with me.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have quite the history. I'm like a book. I want to come out with a documentary and I would just tell my story, but I feel like it has to be a documentary because documentaries like fact check and they talk to people and my story is so just wild and out there that I think there's like a deep-seated worry in me that people actually like won't believe me. So I'm going to do a documentary. So there's like therapists, social workers, witnesses, reports where people are going to be like, "Yes, this chick actually went through this. This isn't just like a bad Sandra Bullock movie, you know?"
Would you? Sandra Bullock is way too old to play you.
I know, what a shame. Because, she's like one of my favorite actresses. And when I was younger, people used to say that I looked like her when I was like 17. Now I don't because I have like a tooth gap. I've matured a bit. My nose is too big. Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Why are we tearing ourselves apart?
I'm just joking.
Okay. Yeah, so like it was funny because I was actually watching, I saw just a random clip of Alanis Morissette performing the other day, and I was like, is that Sandra Bullock? Oh shit, no, that's Alanis Morissette. She's still here. Yeah. That's awesome. So you had kind of a different type of childhood. I don't know if everybody knows that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have like a really like interesting story. Like I live in Canada, but I was born in Romania in 1997, and it was a really dark time for Romania. And birth control was banned. There was a lot of overcrowding in orphanages, and the West came in and did a documentary, like basically stormed the orphanages and showed what like horrible state they were in. You can still find these documentaries today if you just search up like late 90s documentary on orphanages in Romania. You'll find it. It's really sad. Get some tissues. But because of this, it created this worldwide thing where it was like adopt a kid from Romania. And so I got adopted by a white family here in Canada and brought all the way back here. And my mom was just a little psychotic. There was just something, just a little funny about that woman. So, unfortunately, for the first like 9 years of my life, I spent extremely isolated, very, very abused. Um, some of the like techniques like starvation and like isolated and like bare rooms, like a lot of that I've later learned through therapy is like torture techniques. So I just don't like to come out and say that because I don't want to be like I was tortured as a kid. It's kind of uncomfy. But I went through like some really severe shit as a kid. And so when I was 9, I ran away and I went into social services, and I kind of just like grew up in there and spent a lot of time on the streets and group homes, foster homes, but I wasn't really a bad kid. I just want to clarify. Like, I think people think about me as a teenager and think about some like raging, screaming teenager that's like slamming the doors in her staff's face and getting restrained and shit. But I was like a really chill kid. I just dealt with like some very severe suicidal ideation and like behavioral problems, like running away and just hanging out on the streets and just stuff like that.
So, like the basic tenets of what trauma does to kids, like
Yeah.
it doesn't make a kid bad if they have behavioral issues when they're dealing with extreme trauma.
Yeah.
And you definitely went through some serious things there.
Mhm.
So what type of things did you develop into as you got older?
Well, there's some misconceptions out there because of a video that went really viral. It got like somewhere in between 4 and 6 million. I don't remember the exact number, but it went like super viral of this girl calling me like a gang member and stuff. So, somebody did an article on it. And so there's some like misconceptions that I was like a teenager working for like Hell's Angels.
I've heard that you're a Hell's Angel member. I've heard that you're patched.
No, women don't get patched, guys. Let me
I-
just doesn't work that way. So, and just because you know somebody doesn't mean you're like affiliated, and like it just doesn't work like that. So I just, some of where that girl got that conception was just, I think, probably some of the people that I was around when I was like in between 17 and 19. So she lied and said that when I was a teenager, I was, doing that, but I wasn't. I just grew up like on the streets, hanging out with my group of friends at like a train station. We would go to school. And then after school, we were like playing basketball. We were playing hacky sack. Donald was selling chocolate bars at the train station out of his backpack to other kids. Like, we had great times, and like sold a little weed here and there, but like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it really wasn't anything that bad. So people have, even when we were teenagers, people like kind of, you see a big group of kids hanging out outside and people are automatically like, that's a gang. But we really weren't. We just really loved each other. So, when I was 17 to 19, though, I got into some like a little bit more like illegal stuff that I don't really want to like get into too much, but I worked for somebody and did jobs and like kind of similar to your past, JD, with like it makes me so uncomfortable. You're so trained. Like when you grow up on the streets, when you grow up in like that type of situation, you just know like not to talk about it, or else like just those who talk about it aren't about it. So it's so weird for me to talk about it. But basically the way I like to sum it up without giving away details is that like, being a woman on the streets is very predominantly male. So, you have to, even though I hate this term, as a woman, you have to like literally man up, which means like you got to walk like them, talk like them, be respected by them, or you just like you get pimped out, you don't get taken seriously. And as somebody that never really felt like they had family, that community was really important to me. And I found that with the men in my community, because these were men that like respected me, never touched me inappropriately, never tried to exploit me, kept me away from pimps that they were aware of. Like it was a different level. So like that's why when you go back to pictures of when I was like, 15, 16, 17, like a minor, I had my hands and my fingers tattooed already and the sides of my neck before I was even 18. And like, I had to do that to kind of like put on that more of like, don't fuck with me. I look crazy. Maybe I am. I'm really a teddy bear, but maybe I'm crazy. Like you kind of have to, or else you just end up getting like, exploited and bad shit will happen to you. So I didn't have a family to go home to at the end of the day. So I didn't have like anything better. So that's just, I just had to, I chose to man up instead of getting pimped out. And, sometimes that took me down a wrong path. But I'm very happy to say that I don't have a criminal record. I never got one, not as an adult, not as a kid. I've had convictions, I think about 7, but never, or not convictions, charges, but no convictions. So
I got confused for a second there.
yeah, no convictions, just charges. I got that backwards. But no, none of it ever went through. So I'm clear. I can travel, and like I'm just a good kid now. So I really understood what you meant when you were like people shouldn't judge you from your past, because especially as somebody that's like heavily tattooed, I'm sure you can, attest to this, that people treat you different. But
I have a
being like
couple.
a heavily tattooed, not even heavily, I'm not even heavily, I just have them in like the obvious places. Like people really treat you differently and judge you, and people on the internet judge you. And people say to me like, why would I ever trust a woman that looks like she's like been to prison? And I'm like, well, first of all, that's rude. Clearly I have trauma, I can teach people things, duh. But yeah, I get it. I don't know. People just
So
think that I was like this big, you know big Billy badass gang member, and it just like really wasn't like that. I was just surviving.
so I had the same exact thing with my friend group. We all hung out pretty religiously. We watched out for each other, and it was kind
Mhm.
of in a large way. I don't want to like trivialize or minimalize the friend group that I had, but it was a trauma bond type of a situation. It was
Absolutely.
a
Yes.
bunch of traumatized kids who found a family with each other.
Yeah.
And, it's not like we were hell on wheels. I didn't actually get really seriously involved in a criminal lifestyle until I met the only drug that ever got me hooked, which was methamphetamines.
Hmm.
It was very innocent and chill back then. And I just want to say to all the people, because I've seen the comments saying that you're a Hell's Angel, like you really don't want to like walk around saying shit like that, because like
Yeah,
if you say
please
that
don't
in
say
front of
it.
the wrong person,
You're gonna get
it's
my
gonna
throat slit.
it's gonna be a lot really expensive dental bills. You want to keep these things inside your face,
And
bro.
they're already crooked enough. They already look like they're created by AI. I don't need like this one going this way and that.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
the Hells Angels, you don't speak on clubs politics and assume that people are club members. That's not good for your health.
No.
I have many friends within multiple different clubs,
Mhm.
including the 81, and you don't want to go around saying that shit. I know we all feel safe on the internet because a lot of us haven't been punched in our dick suckers yet.
Right.
Don't put yourself in the situation where you have to learn about speaking on shit that isn't yours.
Well, and if they're commenting on it about me, it's not even them that's getting punched in the face. Like it's me. Now, luckily, like I have, there's it, people don't ever take Canada seriously, but like we've got some shit. We have our own street politics. It's nasty out here. So like, luckily I have a good enough relationship, and like, I know people, but that doesn't mean I'm cool. It doesn't mean I'm affiliated. It doesn't mean like I'm just a person that knows somebody that happens to be a person that hangs out with other people. Like it's really not a big deal. So like thankfully I have a good enough relationship with, the people in like the 81 within my city that like they know that I've never like, like I've clarified like, hey, just so like I've never said this. And they're like, we know. So it's okay. I'm not necessarily worried about it, but like, yeah, like imagine if I traveled or something and then suddenly someone's like grilling me and like, it wasn't me, bro.
I know a lot of the dudes from 81, and I don't think any of them would assume that because somebody on the internet is talking shit in your comments that you're the source of that misinformation.
The thing is that when the video goes so viral, people believe it. I think people think because like, oh, this video went viral, so like it must be true. So people have like, yeah, they've really taken it and just bitten onto it. And it's like, yeah, guys, like women don't get patched. Doesn't matter. I
No,
could have been hired to have done 10 jobs for them. Doesn't matter. Still never getting patched. Like the
you could have.
closest you get is being like a biker's wife. That's really kind of the closest a woman's gonna get. You
I
can
don't
do
know.
jobs for them, but that's
I,
it.
I don't know if they use the term in Canada that they use here. You can be an old lady. You could be,
Yeah, an old
somebody's
lady. Yeah,
old
exactly.
lady. The
No.
more casual thing is you could be a backpack. But
Yeah.
yeah, like only men get patched. So,
Yeah.
um, and I just really think that it's so astounding that you literally came from absolutely nothing. Like you
Right.
came from literally a bad place in
Yeah.
Romania, and you've now landed in Canada. You are a great mom. You are a
Thank you.
successful content creator. You help people not just in your community. Roma, you help people worldwide. I'm a dude in America. I've been seeing your videos for years, and the positivity and the way that you stand up for men, which is what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And like, I know that you've made a difference for me. I know that my son watches you and he's like, Roma's fucking rad. She sticks up for dudes like me. You know, my wife is a fan of the work that you do. You know, my wife's dad killed himself before she was even born. And she's like, the work that Roma does is so important and I respect it so much. She's like, she's so brave to get on there and say the things that she does. And it's so showing of how compassionate of a heart she has. So, you know, you came literally from nothing to the point that you're at, and you're healing communities. You've built a huge community online, and it's just such an amazing thing to see. And if you didn't have some people that were out there hating, sis, I don't think you'd be doing anything.
I really appreciate that. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I have been through a lot over the last couple years. Being a men's rights advocate, I've been like, you know, just my personal life under attack. Like, bro, I only even found out that I had an older biological sister until I was like 22. I think I was 23. Like, I like just found this woman a couple years ago, and the internet like went through my following, found her, and was like harassing her. These are things that are like so dear and close to me. Like, I've been through a fucking lot when it comes to just receiving hate and false allegations just because I advocate for men. So, like, you know, sometimes there has been moments where like I doubt myself. They don't come often. It's been 5 years. I think this has only happened twice. But I've like broken down before and been like, am I fucking crazy? Am I delusional? But like, I'm not. So it means a like big difference to hear that I actually make a difference, because especially as somebody that like, you know, I'm a very sad person, and you know, I have, you know, I'm like, I'm not trying to get sympathy or like people to feel weird, not trying to make it weird, but I've had, you know, quite a few serious attempts that I've taken on my life. The soonest one was January 24th of 2024, like just almost a year ago. And so, thank you. And so for me, it's weird to hear people say like, you know, you influenced me, or when sometimes people will be like, you saved my life, or your content got me through a hard time. Sometimes it makes me feel really fake, because I'm like, how can I be having this effect on people when I'm having a hard time like keeping myself alive over here, you know? So when I hear it, it really is like a morale boost and really helps me understand that like I'm not just crazy. I am making a difference. Because when we started this off, you made a good point. You said like, you know, men take up the majority of the incarceration rate and this and that. And I just want to point out, whether you're a Republican or a liberal, we are all like men's rights advocates, and we just don't know it. Like, if you care about the homeless rate, congratulations, you're a men's rights advocate. Men take up the majority of that. If you care about addictions, men's rights advocate. They take up the majority of like homelessness, incarceration, suicides, drug overdoses. They take up the majority of people killed by the police, the majority of the homicide rate. It literally, workplace death rate, it just keeps going. So how people can call me radical because I'm like, hey, men are oppressed too, I don't know, but like the statistics are there, so you're not gonna fucking gaslight me. No more. I'm gonna turn into the 50 Cent of the men's rights community in like 2025. Everybody's gonna hate to see me coming.
Yeah, I fucking love that. That is what's up. Striking fear into the hearts of the haters.
Literally. That's my goal.
So, and I think that things are swinging in a more positive direction. Like, I don't know. I just think I personally, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm just somebody who thinks that we can all be connected. And that what's good for one of us is good for all of us. And, you know, I don't think that a lot of the times as content creators, we ever see the ripple effect of what we're putting out into the ether. You know, I think that, you know, we see some positive comments, and, you know, it's huge to me. Like, sometimes I'll be a whole bitch, bro. I'll read some of these comments that people send me, and I'll be like, literally here, like, fuck, man. And you know, it's just positive stuff, people telling me how I've influenced their lives. But I don't think that we ever get to see the fruits of some of the seeds that we plant when we're
Yeah.
walking in something we're truly authentically passionate about.
Yeah, like if
But they're
I'm
out there.
not big-headed looking for, like where's my praise? Where have I made a change? Like when you're just chilling and being you, like yeah, when you're not focused on that, it's easy to be like, I'm making a difference. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm always astounded when I meet people in public and they even first off know who I am, but then I'll have people like I had a veteran, I was in Alaska and I met this amazing, incredible veteran who literally his whole leg is braced up like permanently. He's a 100% disabled combat veteran, like just a straight fucking hero. And I walk out of the bathroom and he's like, "Oh my God, it's you." And I'm like, "It's you, bro. You're the fucking hero," right? And we sat next to each other on the plane. We just happened to have tickets next to each other on the plane, and I got to talk to him the whole way. And the things that he said to me, like, I'm just like, "Bro, you're like a real life fucking Batman. Like, you are a real life superhero, and you're telling me that like I've done something positive for your life. Thank you for what you've done." And
Yeah.
I think it's pretty astounding. And I know that there's people out there who 100% you have saved lives, Roma.
I
100% you
appreciate that.
make men out there who don't feel seen feel like they're seen.
I hope so.
And I just encourage you to keep doing that work. I know that the haters are the loudest. And sometimes, even if they're not the loudest, they're the ones that get through the easiest to us because it can just be so affrontive and assaultive,
Yeah.
some of the things that people will say about somebody they've never met in their life. Just
Yeah.
know, sis, that you are seen by people that are genuine and authentic for who you are and what your true intentions are, and what you do is
Appreciate that.
important.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I hope so. All I want to do is just make a difference, and I think in 2025 I really want to kick that off. Me and the Dadvocate. Do you know who the Dadvocate is?
I love the Dadvocate.
So her and
Yes.
I are starting a podcast together,
Oh,
and
amazing.
we're really excited. We really hope that it takes off. And because there's a lot of these like male podcasters that are like, some of the like, I like whatever. I think I like him. I don't mind him. I think sometimes he can get a little jaded, but when you're in this like career, anybody can. I've gotten jaded. Like if you're dealing with stupid people every day and you're speaking common sense and they're telling you you're stupid, it's easy to just get like angry and jaded about it. But other than that, I mean, he's great. But you've got other people like the Fresh and Fit podcast that are just like, literally disgraces. So we want to do that, but as like women, and still hit those topics that people want to hear and have those social discussions, but without being like, oh, if you disagree with me, it's because you're a used up hoe. Like, we're just not going to say those things. So
Yeah.
depending on what kind of day I've had. No, I'm just joking.
I know that my community already loves you. I know that this is going to do super well. And if you aren't following Roma, you need to go to Roma Army. It's going to be in the description. You will definitely be able to find her. She's got a way bigger channel than mine. And she's been doing it for way longer. So Roma, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight.